morning superfoods. And as if you couldn't tell by this large couple bunches of kale in front of me, I'm going to make some kale salad. And this is so easy and so tasty, and it stays in the fridge actually pretty well too. This has become a staple in our diet lately. Although I will caution you, don't eat just one green all the time. You're meant to have a variety of greens. Kale is all the rage right now, but don't forget to mix it up. Have some spinach, have some lettuce, have some Swiss chard, have some arugula. Just mix up your greens. If you eat the same green all the time, then not only are you only getting the minerals from that green, you're not getting a variety of minerals, but the oxalic acid in that green can build up in your system, which then prevents you from uptaking nutrients. So mix it up and enjoy this kale salad. So I'm going to show you how super easy this is. First, you're going to want to pull the kale leaves off of the spine. You don't want the spine in there at all because it's so super fibrous. I compost the spine, but if you really want to use it, then you can freeze it and use it in a stock for a veggie stock soup. You can juice it, although it may gum up your juicer a little bit because it's so fibrous. You can put it in a green smoothie. It's up to you. Personally, I just compost it because there's not that much nutrient value in the spine. For the leaves, I'm kind of doing it slow because I'm talking to you, and I got some music playing, so like all is well in my world. But you can also kind of speed it up a little bit. Some leaves work better than others, but if you hold it by the base, you can kind of strip along the spine. See how quick that comes off? And then just tear up a little bit what you got in your hand. So this little piece got in there with a little bit of spine. You can just say that's okay or pull that off as you wish. Whoops! I get a little carried away. My little kale leaf got away from me. It can be that quick. And again, the leaves that come off the spine are the full size. So you're still going to want to rip it up a little bit, but it does seem to make the process a little quicker. And if you didn't already know, I love to play with my food and get my hands in it. I get more love in it that way than chopping. Just something kind of cold and sterile about chopping food. So you can do this with a knife if you want. You can use a cutting board and lay it down flat and then chop along the spine and then tear it up. But then you've dirtied a knife and a cutting board and you're not playing with your food. I guess I didn't play with my food enough as a kid. So, and we're going to be massaging this kale too, so if you don't get them to really perfectly small pieces of leaves, that's okay. You can rip it some more as you're massaging in the other ingredients. So some of this I'm just going to throw in and know that I'm going to tear it up a little more as I get in. And the kale will also kind of melt down as it marinates in the salt and the olive oil that we'll be adding. That massaging is really important when you're working with raw kale because this is so fibrous. If you just eat it straight like this, for one thing, it won't taste nearly as good. It'll taste a little bit bitter. The fiber is really hard on your digestive tract. Your digestive tract likes fiber, but it needs a really gentle fiber. So like if you're wanting to cleanse your digestive tract, you even want to do a gel-like fiber, like chia seeds in gel or flax seeds in gel or even aloe gel, the inside of aloe leaves. All of those kinds of fibers are really soothing to your digestive tract and they help to bind toxins and flush them out of your colon. So if you're wanting more fiber, kale salad, but really go for the chia gel more than anything else. But we also want to break down this fiber a little more so it's easy for our bodies to digest it. And the way we do that without cooking it, where we lose some of the nutrients, is to actually marinate it in salt. Helps to break down the cell walls of the leaves, and the olive oil. You can also use lemon juice or apple cider vinegar. That will help break down the walls. More than anything, it's the salt and then either olive oil or like an apple cider vinegar will help break down the cell walls. And this huge bowl of kale leaves is going to compress down as the cell walls break down. The whole thing will just kind of melt and it'll look not quite like cooked kale, but it'll look more cooked than it does now. Alright. And usually I just do one head of kale at a time, but we have been going through this kale salad so much lately. We started our Superfood challenge a little bit early and we're all like, give me greens. I want more greens. The protein in them and the alkaline source, and our bodies just want to eat healthy. They want the minerals and they want the raw vegan protein for rebuilding our muscles. So, 2 heads of kale it is. You can also tell I'm not overly precise. I'm just kind of ripping and shredding. You do not have to be the same size leaf shapes because it all melts down so much that what I'm putting in here now is going to look entirely different once it marinates. So what may seem like a really big leaf now, later will totally be bite-sized. Fast leaf. I like to kind of hold on to the stem a little bit so it's easy to separate it. All right, so here's my big, huge bowl of 2 heads worth of kale leaves. These little bits back in. And then here's all my stalks that in my world, I'm just gonna throw in the compost. All right. So now I've got this big, huge bowl, and I'm gonna first put salt on. And I'm just gonna get it on top, but then I'm gonna try to flip it over a little bit so that I get salt a little more evenly on all the leaves. I am gonna massage it in as well, but kind of an even distribution is nice to start. This is the sunfire salt, the combination of 4 different salts in my jar here. It's the pink Himalayan sea salt, the Chinese sea salt, Bolivian salt, Bolivian land salt, Bolivian clay salt, and the Hawaiian Alea clay salt. Good stuff. If you don't have the sunfire salt, get a really high quality salt, man. Get a sea salt, get a Himalayan salt, get the highest quality salt you can find. I haven't found anything higher in this, so I'm kind of slow to recommend other options. And now I'm just sprinkling some olive oil over it, and again, kind of mixing it around a little. Now, olive oil is going to provide our bodies with some much needed fat, and it will also help to spread that salt around and really cause some marination. So now I'm going to massage this together, and as I massage it in, I'm kind of also having an opportunity to feel the leaves. Like this leaf has a little dry spot in the back, so I can really massage it in. So I'm kind of doing like a finger grabbing experience here. So I'm squishing and rubbing with my fingers and really feeling for, are there any spaces that, or am I feeling or seeing any spaces that look kind of dry, that it didn't get any olive oil on it? And I can also feel how gritty this is, and any leaves that are maybe a little too big. Tear up any extra leaves, and if there's any, how gritty it is, so I know how much salt I really got in here. It doesn't take a lot of salt. Like Dan made this once. I just said, I don't know, intuit how much salt to put in, and it got a little too salty, so you'll know as you go. But as I'm doing this now, I'm realizing I do kind of feel for how much salt is in there, and does it look like it's starting to wilt a little bit right now? Which, a little bit. If it's melting down a little bit, we'll give it a chance to really marinate and for those cell walls to break down. And don't be afraid to squish it, to really mix it together. You're mixing it with love. You're not hurting the kale. You're just infusing more love into it so it can be easily digested by your body. Yeah, and it feels, I can tell, it feels like it's working pretty good because as I'm squishing it, it's feeling softer and softer. I don't have like hard leaves that I'm squishing against. It's just really compressing nicely in my hands. So that to me says I got the right amount of olive oil and the right amount of salt. You can also taste test a piece. Now it's a little bit salty and a little bit oily. It doesn't taste too salty. If I didn't taste any salt on it at all, then I might want to add a little more. So now, while my hands are nice and oily from massaging this, I'm going to add in a few more ingredients. This has become kind of our favorite dressing for kale salad. And it's like all the superfood ingredients. So I'm going to add in some of the Fiesta Mole mix. This is my favorite dressing ever. You can do so many things with this. It's a tomato base with cacao powder and hemp seeds and maca, tocotrinos. My video cut off, but what I was reading to you is the Fiesta Mole mix. It also has golden flax seeds, whole coconut flour, sunflower salt, and spices. And the spices in this are really gentle, gently warming. So it's like kind of a garlic, cumin-y, mild pepper taste. So I often, if I'm making a lettuce kind of salad, I'll either just sprinkle Fiesta Mole on top. You see I have my smaller jar for easy sprinkling. Or I will mix the Fiesta Mole with some olive oil and or maybe some lime juice or apple cider vinegar and just spread that on top, and that's my dressing and that's it. So this is like my favorite Superfood upscale seasoning, and I'm just going to sprinkle some on top. And then before I start mixing, I'm going to sprinkle some other things in. So there's my Fiesta Mole. And I'm also going to sprinkle in some nutritional yeast flakes. I really love this Kale brand of nutritional yeast flakes. If you're concerned about yeast, then do some reading about yeast. But generally, this depends on where you get it, but it should say non-GMO and organic yeast, and it's grown in such a way that it does not contribute to the development of candida or other bad yeast in your system. But if you're really worried about it, then leave it out. I love it. It's high in B vitamins, it has a nice cheesy taste, and it can be very energizing and mood uplifting because of those B vitamins. And then the other thing I love to add is spirulina into salads, because you're already eating something green and you never notice the dark green color or the flavor of the spirulina. Now, I don't add a lot. Well, sometimes I do. Okay, so that was maybe a teaspoon or two for 2 heads of kale. So like maybe a teaspoon per head of kale. And it gives it this really delicious, savory kind of flavor and that boost of protein and nutrient value from the spirulina. So now that I've got those added in, I'm just going to mix it up so that all the leaves get coated with everything I just put in there. And you can see my kale salad is melting really nicely. What was, top of the bowl is maybe half the size now, really. So it helps to have a big bowl to mix in and then a smaller container with a lid that you can store it in the fridge. And frankly, this is enough. This tastes amazing with these superfoods added on top. But if you like other things in your salad, now's when you add it in. You could add in some chopped sweet onion, some tomatoes. Sometimes I'll take guacamole and just flop it in there and mix it around if I want even more fats. Sliced apples, hemp seeds, whatever you're wanting more of. If you want some chunks, some chewy bits, then add it in. But you can see it just looks like this nice dark green kale salad. I'll taste test it here. Oh, my sacrifices for you, having to taste test. Darn. Yeah, that tastes amazing. Alright, well, that's kale salad. Super sweet and simple and easy. Should store in the fridge, gosh, probably for about a week. It'll continue to melt down a little bit as it marinates, and that's okay. I've never had it last longer than a week because we eat it so fast. I mean, this not only is part of our dinner, but oftentimes for me, it's breakfast. I'll have this, maybe I'll have a fried egg on top, or sometimes just some kale salad, and I'm good for the day. Like, rock on. All right, I think that's it. Enjoy. Okay, I admit there was a little bit more. I thought I would reveal to you what I do after I'm done mixing the kale salad. I lick my hands because it's so good. Oh my god, it is so good. Don't forget, that's the best part of playing with your food. Get to lick your fingers.